Hey, it's Christina with Tinagirl Travels and my husband Keith. We're going to see some amazing ruins. We are staying in Naples and just took the train here just over an hour and about 15 minutes. Let's go check it out. Before Rome, before Pompeii, there was Paestum, and its temples are some of the best preserved in the world. It's so easy to get to by train. Here we are at the train station, and as we turn around, you will see the first ancient gate. Let's have a look on Google Maps at the area we're talking about. Now, this is Paestum down here, and up here is Rome. You could take the bullet train down to Naples, which is just over an hour, and then the train, which is an hour, down to Paestum. Now, we were traveling from Naples, and it was about an hour and 10 minutes. So here's the train station right here that I showed you just a second ago. You're going to walk down this flat road. It's super easy, and then you'll arrive at the ancient city right here. Now, right here is the museum. We'll have a look at that as well. There are shops and restaurants along here. Now, I have to tell you, we were absolutely blown away by Paestum. Here's the thing. When you travel in Italy, it feels like everywhere you go, it's wall-to-wall tourists. Every photo you take has a crowd in the background. You're waiting in line for tickets. You're waiting to get inside. And honestly, it can be exhausting. But Paestum is different. It was nothing like that. And I can't figure out why. It's easy to get to, it's such an incredible place to visit, and yet hardly anyone is there. We talked to so many fellow travelers in Italy, and none of them had even heard of it. And the only reason that I knew about it was because of my well-traveled physiotherapist, Ryan. He told me, you have to see Paestum. You'll have the whole place to yourself, and wow, was he right. Okay, let's do a 1-minute history lesson just so you understand why this place is kind of important. Paestum was originally founded by the Greeks around 600 BC. You heard that right, the Greeks were in Italy back then. It was called Poseidonia after the sea god Poseidon. They built these enormous temples and created a thriving little city right near the coast. A couple of hundred years later, the Lucanians took over. And then the Romans showed up in the 3rd century BC and turned it into a colony and renamed it Paestum. So under Roman rule, the city had everything: an amphitheater, baths, paved roads, even forums. And as you can see, you can still walk through the remains of these streets today. But eventually things went downhill. The land got swampy, malaria set in, trade routes shifted, and people abandoned the city. For centuries, it was left to the weeds until it was rediscovered in the 1700s. Now, the real stars here are the temples. The Temple of Hera, built around 550 BC, is one of the oldest Doric temples in existence. The Temple of Athena sits on a little rise, still looking incredibly amazing. And the big one, the Temple of Neptune from around 450 BC, is breathtaking. It's one of the best preserved Greek temples anywhere in the world. And the crazy part, you can walk all around this history practically by yourself. No crowds, no lines, just you surrounded by these massive ancient ruins. It honestly felt like stepping back in time, and I couldn't believe a place this extraordinary was practically empty.
So with your entrance ticket of 15 euros, you get access to the museum and you get access to the grounds. We seriously have the whole place to ourselves. It is quite remarkable. All over Italy, there have been crowds and crowds and crowds of people. And here we are at this incredible place, and we're like the only ones here. This is so cool. You can even go inside.
Unlike other 2,500-year-old Greek ruins, you can actually walk inside these temples here in Paestum. You can take all the time you want to wander, to look, to take pictures, and just to stand here in awe of these detailed structures. We took our time looking through them. There's no one rushing you out of here.
This place is amazing. Definitely, if you're in the area of Naples, even if you're coming from Rome would be about 2 hours and 15 minutes to get here. From Naples, it was an hour and 15 minutes. And if you're staying in the Amalfi Coast or Salerno or somewhere, Sorrento, it is worth the trip. It is so incredible. There's nobody here, literally July, and we're walking around here and there's a small scattering of people, but we basically have the entire place to ourselves, and it is stunning. It is stunningly beautiful and no crowds. Amazing.
Now, Paestum holds the distinction of being a multiple UNESCO site. It's a World Heritage Site and a Global Geopark site. As we were walking from the train station along the path to the site, I noticed this banner advertising an app for Paestum. It's called Paestum Archaeological. We downloaded the app and it gave us access to maps with a built-in tour guide. We could see where we were on the map and just click the site we were closest to, and we could get an interesting commentary on what we were looking at. Now, this app also works at the museum. Here are the current ticket prices, and the site and the museum are open from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Now, with your ticket, you are allowed one entry to the museum and one to the archaeological site of Paestum, and one to the archaeological site of Velia. Now, Velia is another hour or so south by train. Not quite as easy to get to from the train station. It's a 3-kilometer walk or a taxi ride to the ruins. We didn't go see them, but if you have time, your ticket will give you access. Before we head over to the museum, I want to tell you a few little details you need to know. So like I said, your ticket covers both the archaeological site and the museum. Just remember, once you leave the site, you can't come back in on that same ticket. So make sure you've seen everything before you head out. Can you bring your dog? Yes, you can. Pets are welcome in the archaeological park as long as they're on a leash. And get this, they have to be wearing a muzzle. Small dogs can also be carried in a bag or a carrier. Just note that dogs aren't usually allowed in the museum unless they're service animals. Now check those opening hours on the website. I'm going to add that in the description below. The site opens around 8:30 in the morning and closes just before sunset. The museum, though, usually closes a bit earlier, and the last entry is about an hour before closing time. So another thing is that the facilities are pretty basic. There's a small cafe and a restroom on site. Water fountains are limited. There were water fountains though, so bring a bottle with you and be prepared. There's very little shade around the temples. So in the summer, like we were there in July, it was extremely hot. Bring an umbrella, find some shade under a tree and cool off. Let's talk about accessibility. So the site is mostly flat and many of the paths are suitable for wheelchairs or strollers, but some of them are quite uneven. Plan to give yourself 3 to 4 hours minimum to check out the archaeological sites, the museum, and the little town that's nearby. Let's head on over to that museum and have a quick look around. So either before you visit the archaeological site or after, definitely take time to check out the Archaeological Museum of Paestum. It's right next to the site, and it really ties the whole story together. The big highlight here is the fresco of the tomb of the diver. It's this painted tomb from around 470 BC, and what makes it so special is that's the only one of its kind that survived from the Greek world. On the lid, there's a man diving into the water, which most historians think represents the soul moving into the afterlife. You know what? It's simple, but it's really powerful. The museum also has tons of other artifacts, pottery, weapons, statues, everyday items, all from the different groups who lived here, way back from the Greeks to the Lucanians to the Romans. What I really like about this museum is that it's not huge or overwhelming. You can wander through it at a relaxed pace, and it gives you a much clearer picture of what life was like in Paestum beyond just the temples. So when you come here, don't skip it. The museum is the piece that really makes the ruins outside just come alive. Of course, there's also a gift shop to check out as well. One thing visitors always ask about is what's around the site once you've finished exploring the temples and the museum. So right outside the entrance, you'll find a strip of little shops and restaurants. The shops are mostly souvenir places where you can pick up books, postcards, and replicas of Greek artifacts. Many also sell local specialties like olive oil, wine, and of course Paestum's famous buffalo mozzarella. Some even have vacuum-packed mozzarella that you can take home with you. Now there are two areas to eat. The first is right in front of the archaeological site. The cafes and restaurants seem to be open all day. You can usually grab a coffee, a panini, or a gelato without any problem. And the other is a little farther up the main road, about a 5-minute walk to the north. It's a whole street lined with restaurants. Most of them are small family-run restaurants with outdoor seating. It's relaxed, it's a local vibe, and prices are generally reasonable compared to other tourist sites in Italy. But here's something important to know. Many of these restaurants don't actually open for dinner until around 7:30 in the evening. That means if you're planning to catch a train back to Naples or Rome after your visit, it's probably too late to sit down for a proper dinner. So keep that in mind. You'll probably want to eat earlier in the day instead. So whether you're after a quick bite, some local cheese and wine, or just a souvenir to take home, you'll find it right outside the gates of Paestum. Now, if you're driving into the area, there's plenty of parking right along the street. If you're traveling through the area, this would be a great place to stay for a night or two. You'll find lots of bed and breakfasts, hotels, resorts, and there's even lots of camping in the area. There's so much to see. I feel like we just scratched the surface. We could have easily spent a night or two here. Now, if you're like us and you're taking the train back, and you weren't paying attention when you arrived, you're looking for this small alleyway beside the yellow building. It's about a 10-minute walk back to the station, and you know what? It's the prettiest walk along a country road, past beautiful birds, lovely flowers, and trees arching over the road. Everywhere you look, it's like a postcard. Before you know it, you're back at the train station, and I have to say it's a very modern station for being in what feels like a very rural part of Italy. This was one of our favorite days on our 3-week trip to Italy, where we visited Rome, Naples, and the areas around Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast. Everyone we showed our pictures to was blown away that 1, they had never heard of Paestum, and 2, that there were no crowds. I still can't get over that part. Now, if you're in the planning stages, or maybe you're in Italy already and looking for a day trip from Naples, this would be a big yes from us. Definitely do it. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video on visiting Paestum. I hope I was able to help you out. Do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell so you won't miss out on seeing us hike up Mount Vesuvius. Yes, we did, right to the top. I'll also add links to our favorite anti-theft and anti-pickpocket backpacks, day packs, and crossbody bags that we actually use on every trip we take. I'll add a link to our favorite luggage made by Level 8 that can handle all that cobblestone with no problem. And I'll also add a link to Saili, the eSIM that we used to keep in touch with our friends and family back home. Here's some videos I think you might enjoy watching next. Thanks for watching Tinagirl Travels, and I'll see you again soon.